April 28, 2015, from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. It was Game 5 from the 2015 NBA Round 1 playoff series between the San Antonio Spurs and the Los Angeles Clippers. So this series was tied up at 2 games apiece, and the Clippers were looking to take the edge on their home court, but the Spurs had other ideas. The Clippers were up by double digits as the first quarter was drawing a close, but then the Spurs went on a little run. First, a couple free throws by Bellinelli, then Mills hit a three-pointer, and then Diaw and Ginobili both added a pair each, and it was now a 5-point game with the score 27-22. So a 9-0 run to end the first for the Spurs to pull within 5. Then in the second quarter, it remained close. It was just neck and neck, back and forth, trading the lead. And in the closing moments, Chris Paul would give the Clippers the lead with a pair of free throws to go up by 1 point with the score 54-53 at halftime. And we saw some really good three-point shooting at this point by the Spurs and throughout the game. And the Clippers hit 1 three-pointer in the first quarter and would not hit another three-pointer throughout the rest of the game, as they couldn't hit a three-pointer to save their life. But then in the third quarter, still really tight game, back and forth, tie game, trading the lead. And in the closing moments of the third quarter, Bellinelli hit a three-pointer to put the Spurs up by 2 at 82-80. Then Austin Rivers at the very last second hits one off of the backboard as time expires, and that tied the game up at 82 apiece. So it was a very exciting game, some high drama for sure. So we're ending the fourth quarter tied up at 82. And the fourth quarter was just crazy. Just some crazy moments. As every time the Clippers started getting close, the Spurs would just drop a three-pointer on them. And the Clippers, though, they just kept clawing back. And really what it came down to, we'll just go right to the end, with a very controversial call, is Blake Griffin drives the lane and he puts up a basket. It bounces off the backboard, off the rim, and then DeAndre Jordan, his hand touched the ball and the ball went in. They reviewed it and they called offensive goaltending, so interference on DeAndre Jordan. Originally, it was scored a basket, and it was 109-108, and the crowd was going insane, but they took the 2 points off the board, and so it remained the Spurs in the lead 108-107. They would end up closing out the game, hitting 3 of 4 free throws, and the final score would be 111-107 as the Spurs win. But in very controversial fashion, personally, I thought it was total bullshit the way this went down. It was such a good game, and then to have it end like this on a total bullshit call, like, even that rule is a bullshit ass rule. Let's look over the rule right now. According to the rule, and I think really the part of the rule, it's kind of a long rule with a bunch of appendages. There's like 9 appendages to this rule, but according to the rule, appendage B, because it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. But B says, because it's all, like you can't touch the ball, right? So it says, touch the ball when it is above the ring and within the imaginary cylinder. So the way the rule is structured, basically, because it's like, you can't goaltend, all right, as a defensive player. But as an offensive player, it's not like you get an unfair advantage when it comes to the possibility of a goaltend. So like you can't hit the ball either. So just like a defender can't stop the ball from going in while the shot is in the process of being like going through its whole motion, because basically what it is, like you put the shot up, and once it goes up, like you can't hit the backboard, you can't like just grab the rim and rattle it. You got to let the shot drop and then just fall where it does, and then once it takes its natural course, then you can go for the rebound. Now here's the thing though, if you see, it says touch the ball when it is above the basket ring and within the imaginary cylinder. So you can't touch it when it's within that imaginary cylinder. So what they're saying is like, imagine the hoop but imagine that there's like an invisible line that goes straight up and down from the floor to the rim to the ceiling of the building, and that's just a cylinder, right? Now, if the ball is within the imaginary cylinder, then you can't touch it. But if it's outside of this, then it's okay. Well, DeAndre Jordan, his hand was outside of this imaginary cylinder when he touched the ball. Now it becomes too, it's like, well, was it going in on its own or not? That's the thing about this call, is that you can't really say within like a shadow of a doubt that with the ball was going in or not going in. You really can't say. And the ball had already, it hit the rim, it hit the backboard, it hit the rim, and then, DeAndre just went up, put his hand straight up, and it grazed his hand and went in. I don't think that's interference. That's just a putback at that point. The ball had already done everything it could do. You could even say, like, maybe it falls on its own anyway, or maybe it doesn't. But the call was just total horseshit. I'll tell you what, if I was a Laker, if I was going for the Clippers, an LA fan, the Clippers, Lakers, if I was going for the Clippers, I would be so pissed off right now about how they got screwed over. I mean, I'll tell you, honestly, I was actually going for the Spurs, but I saw that call and I was like, wow, that's some bullshit. Like, that they would, like, have them lose like that. I mean, you could argue that that's the rule. Well, it's a bullshit rule then. If that is interference, then what the fuck? Like, I don't know. I don't see how, isn't every tip in then interference? Like, I don't know. It's just the ball. Even I'm watching it here again, and it's the ball. It hit the rim like 3 times. Like, the ball like hits the rim, hits the backboard, hits the rim. Like, how much? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what, you're not allowed to go for a rebound? Like, you know what I mean? And it's just, man, I cannot believe this. How much bullshit that was. It really, it boggles my mind. I mean, I'm almost speechless. Like, what do you really? I don't know how you justify that one. I thought it was the worst call ever. And like I said, I was actually rooting for the Spurs, but I would have rather just seen the game take its natural course than go like that. Also, in the third quarter, I thought it was some real, like, I don't know, it was a low, like, way of playing. Like I don't really find it very competitive in the third quarter when they're already going to hack a Shaq. When they start fouling DeAndre Jordan in the third quarter, like, really? You don't deserve to win a game if you're already fouling a guy in the third quarter. It's not even the end of the game. It's the third quarter, and you're just fouling them. Like, what kind of basketball? That's not basketball. There was 35 combined free throws in the third quarter, and then a bullshit-ass call at the end. Man, this game, I don't know. Like, and then this is how the Spurs are going to win the series. I already, like I said, I was rooting for the Spurs, but now I'm, like, not really. I'm kind of now rooting against them after this game. Even the way that they've been incorporating the whole Hackett Shaq, Hackett Jordan, that whole thing has already been souring me towards them. And then they really went too far with it in this game, and then just the way this went down now, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and I just really do not like it. That's how I feel personally. If you got a different opinion, go ahead and put it in the comments section. But anyway, let's just go over the numbers real quick for this game. Tim Duncan, a double-double, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Kawhi Leonard, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, so just 1 board shy of the double-double. So Duncan, double-double. Kawhi almost had a double-double. Tony Parker, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Then off the bench, Diaw had 10 points, 7 rebounds, and a steal. He had an impressive game. He made some crazy shots in this game. That's the thing. It's like the Spurs did some amazing stuff in this game, but then it takes away from their win when they're the whole Hackett Jordan, Hackett Shaq, and then the way they won it with that bad call. But Patty Mills, 13 points, 4 rebounds. Ginobili, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Danny Green, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. And for the Clippers, Blake Griffin had 30 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, and a block. So a double-double for Blake. Also a double-double for DeAndre Jordan. 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And a double-double for Chris Paul as well, with 19 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals. J.J. Redick also had 13 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals as well. And the one thing with the Clippers where they kind of deserved to lose this game was their abysmal three-point shooting. As I had mentioned, the only three-pointer they hit in this game was early on in the first quarter by Matt Barnes, and then they were 0 for 13 from then on out. So 1 for 14 for a percentage of just 7.1 from the three-point line. That's just about unheard of. I almost wonder, is that a record? Like the worst three-point shooting ever in a playoff game? I'm not 100% sure it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were, because it was just horrible shooting from the three-point land for the Clippers. And amazingly, as bad as they shot from three-point land, they actually had a better shooting percentage from the field than the Spurs at 46.5 versus 44.4. The Spurs had no problem hitting three-pointers. They hit 11 of them for a shooting percentage of 47.8. So the Spurs just draining those threes. Both teams went to the line over and over again. So the thing the Clippers have to work on is that free throw shooting. But if you only make 1 out of 14 three-point attempts, you're going to lose. And you kind of deserve to lose. So I guess that kind of erases the bullshit call there at the end. That's the only thing that really leaves this, like, where the game I can kind of like, well, they did deserve to lose, even though they got totally screwed. It's crazy, because if, I'm rooting for the Spurs, and then they win, even though the Clippers really didn't deserve to win, to get screwed over like that, I would have just liked to have seen a clean finish. It's as if, I feel like I was watching wrestling and the one guy got a pair of brass knucks from his manager, hit the other guy, and then grabbed his tights and won. That's how it feels in this one. But that's how it goes. And the Spurs take the lead. They could end this series in San Antonio in Game 6 and knock the Clippers out. That's very likely. Of course, the Clippers are going to come out and give everything they got. But here in Game 5, the Spurs take the 3-2 lead, and the final score, San Antonio 111, Los Angeles 107.